Hello there, I am AutismFather. I thought I'd make a really quick, probably not going to be quick, video to answer a few questions that I've noticed a few people have. First of all, is AutismFather your real name? Yes. No, AutismFather is not my real name. My real name is Stuart Duncan. Some people have come across my Patreon page and they want to know, why do you need so much money to run a Minecraft server? So to answer this question, I'm going to have to give you a little bit of a background on where it came from. See, back in 2005, my son was born. In 2008, he was diagnosed with autism, and I became a sponge for all things autism. I needed to learn as much as I possibly could. I read articles and doctoral articles and other people's blogs and soaked in as much info as I could. In 2010, I created my own blog and I registered the name AutismFather on Facebook and Twitter and a few other places, and took on that name and began writing about my experiences on my own blog as a father, because there were so few fathers doing that, and that's why I chose the name AutismFather. So it worked too well. I ended up getting a lot of readers, and I was invited to write for the National Autistic Society and Autism Speaks and Autism Canada and in some magazines, and my readership grew pretty quickly, and eventually I ended up with quite the social media following, with thousands of fans on Facebook, thousands of followers on Twitter, and all of these people were parents like me, either wanting to read my stuff or writing their own, and I wanted to read theirs. So over the next couple of years, I was reading and writing as much as I could, getting quite the following, and this little game called Minecraft came along and got to be a pretty big hit. And in 2013, like all kids, kids with autism were becoming addicted, and parents were on social media complaining about how their kids talked about Minecraft morning, noon, and night. What changed really quickly, though, was that autism parents started to ask other autism parents if their children could play together, because their kids were being bullied on all the servers they tried to play on. They just wanted to play with other kids like they saw people doing on YouTube. So I saw all these parents, quite a few of them, way too many of them, saying that their children were being bullied on the servers they tried to play on, which was really heartbreaking for me, because it wasn't just bullying, like bullying. It was extreme bullying, like destroying everything they built, stealing everything they had, killing them over and over and over again as they would respawn, so that the game was virtually unplayable. And the worst part was the terrible, terrible things they would tell them. These little children, some as young as 6 years old, these people would be telling them that they are rejects and defects and retards. So in June 2013, I decided to create a Minecraft server called Autcraft, where I would monitor it and only allow those children on that had parents applying for them, so that trolls and bullies couldn't be on, and they would have a place that they could play the game and feel safe. So I shared the announcement with a few friends on Facebook, primarily just to see if anybody would be interested in it, and I ended up getting 750 emails in the first 48 hours. My internet service provider cut off my access to the email server because they said that's way too much volume for a residential account. So suffice to say, the server grew pretty quickly. I started out with a $2.50 package for 5 player slots, and within 8 days I had maxed it out up to the $80 package with unlimited slots that MC Pro Hosting graciously gave me for $60 a month, because they really loved what we were doing and the growth and the response from the parents they were hearing. So they really helped me out, and big shout out to MC Pro Hosting for that. It was great, but we were growing so fast, it was crazy. October rolled around and Paul Soares Jr. visited the server, and then the next month Autism Speaks wrote an article about the server in November. And to give you a sense of the scale of that, November is when they wrote the article, the 11th month of the year. By the end of December, the 12th month of the year, when they did their year in review of the top articles based on popularity, most interaction and views, ours came in at number 5. The Paul Soares Jr. video was even worse. Better, depending on how you look at it. I was answering over 500 emails a day for 2 weeks straight. So anyway, with all this server growth, a lot of people were on the server all the time, and a lot of parents really appreciated it, and they started to donate, because they realized I was writing about it on Facebook, how the growth was and the server expenses and things, and so they started donating, and they donated in like $20, $50, $100. I couldn't believe people were donating $100 to a server, and I never even asked them for a cent. I just told them that it was growing so fast. So the more the server grew, the more that people donated, and I appreciated it, and I knew that they were donating for a reason. They were getting value out of the server, but I still felt really bad because even though the parents didn't ask for anything, some of the players did because their parents had donated. They wanted to know what they get because other servers had ranks and things. So I started introducing ranks. Okay, so at the time I was doing my job, which is web developer, and trying to run Autcraft at the same time, which was growing crazy huge, super fast. And I was trying to juggle both things, do whitelist applications in the morning, go to do my job, and be on the server as much as I could in the evening. And for the most part, it worked because I had great help with admins and things like that. But in time, it got to be too much. Okay, so here was the problem. As the players felt more and more safe and more part of a community that encouraged them and supported them, and as they became more comfortable around me, more and more of the really depressed, feeling very isolated, very alone, bullied, parents in denial, that sort of thing, all these different things adding up. Because there was just so many kids, we had so many players, there was more and more of these instances, and they would come to me and they wanted to talk to me, and it was at all hours of the day, which meant that I would have to either be up at night and groggy for my job, or I'd have to leave my job to get back to the server to talk to these people because there wasn't going to be a second chance. I had to be there when they needed me to be there, and that was it. And when you have a whitelist of over 1,000 people in your first month, it's a lot of people at all times of the day, from Australia to the EU to Africa, North America, everywhere. We even have some people from Lithuania on the server, which is totally bizarre to me. But if those people are on and they need to talk to me, I need to be there, not at my job. So I did my best. I did all right for the first year and a half or so. So the second half of 2013 into 2014. And then the news hit. In December of 2014, BuzzFeed released an article, and then television camera crews came to my family's house at Christmas time to interview me, and magazines and everything else. I was on the front page of the paper in India for some reason. I didn't even know. I looked online and I found it. And it just grew even more from there. Pardon the double chin. So basically, as we went into 2015, I had to make a choice, because at this point I was starting to let down the person I was working with. I was starting to let down clients. I was starting to miss being paid because jobs weren't getting done, because I had to drop everything and get on the server to settle disputes or talk to somebody who needed me at that moment. Oh, check it out. So I left it up to the people mostly. I went on Facebook and I said, here's the situation. I need to make a choice. It's either going to be drop Autcraft and refocus on my job for my kids' sake, for my sake, or I need to drop the job and make Autcraft my job and make that my primary source of income so that I could still support my family and I could still have a roof over my head. But also be there for the children, for the players, not just children, grown-ups too. Just people who need a safe place and somebody to talk to when they have a need to talk to somebody. So I launched Patreon August 2015 with that post saying, this is it, this is how it's going to be. It's either Autcraft or my job. I have to choose, and I'm leaving it up to you. If you want to support the server, then this is how it's done. And if not, that's fine. You don't have to support the server. I will go back to my job. So in the fall, August 2015, I quit my job and Autcraft became my job. I had enough support from the community, people who were willing to pitch in a few dollars. Some people pitched in a lot of money. It was pretty crazy to keep Autcraft running. Now, not everybody was on board with that. I was called an extortionist and had people say that I was taking advantage of people with autism just to get money for myself. I mean, I get where they're coming from. I was basically giving them something that their children were starting to depend on and threatening to take it away unless they gave me money. But at the same time, I didn't want anybody who didn't have any money to be giving me anything. And I also didn't want to close Autcraft. But as those people pointed out, myself and my family come first. And if I have to have a job for that to happen, then that has to happen. And that means no Autcraft. So it was a really rough position for me. And despite people calling me an extortionist and terrible names and things, it was the choice that had to be made. And I was just lucky that there was enough support that people were willing to, those who had the money pitched in a little bit in order to make sure that Autcraft kept on going and that I was able to feed my family. So this month I launched the Mob Arena plugin mini game on the server with 5 brand new arenas that I built. Some of them I set up myself, some of them I downloaded, but I had to set them all up, make sure they all worked, balance the systems and the classes and stuff. On top of that, I have a 24-hour live stream coming up, which is for autism awareness and ending bullying, especially in the Minecraft community. And then after that, I have a TED Talk on April 22nd. And then it's my birthday, which happens to end up being a pretty big deal on the server. And then there's an AutCon happening. And then after that is Autcraft's 4th anniversary. And then there's 2 more AutCons happening. And it goes on and on and on. On top of all those things that I have going on, there's still the server, right? Being on the server, talking to people, settling disputes, doing mod requests, just being there to talk and play and share a good time with people. Talking to the other admins, the senior helpers, the junior helpers, getting all that stuff organized and managed, answering questions and stuff. It's way more than a 9-to-5 job. It's not just running a video game server. It's not just passing the time and checking in once in a while. There's so much involved to it that I am far more busy now than I've ever been in my entire life. And I'm making less than I've ever made. See, a lot of people look at my Patreon right now, which is at $1,500 or so, and they say, why do you need that much money to run a server? It only costs, some people run a server for a couple bucks. Obviously, I can't because it's much bigger than that. But even at a couple $100, it's not $1,500. So it seems like I'm profiting an awful lot of money off of this thing. But my rent is $1,000. My groceries are $200 a week because Cameron, my son with autism, eats gluten-free, which is 4 times the price. Plus I have all my other bills. So $1,500, $400 a week, which is $800 a month, plus $100 for phone, $100 for internet, and then my car's $400. You see where I'm going with this? $1,500 for a single father of 2 with all these bills is not a lot of money. It's not enough money. But I don't complain. I'm not complaining. I need more because it's not enough and we could do better. We can't buy a Nintendo Switch. We can't buy an Xbox One or a PS4. We can't buy a lot of the things that a lot of my children's classmates have because we don't have the money for it. And I don't push the sales and I don't push everybody that, I did it the one time. I said that it's either Autcraft or my job, and I left it up to the people. And that was the one and only time because it sucked. It really sucked. But it had to be done, and I don't do that anymore, even though I'm making less than what I need, really, to survive. So I'm sorry this isn't a very fun video, and it's kind of long. It wasn't meant to be quite so long, but I felt like it needed an explanation because it just never goes away. There's never a lot of people who make these accusations that I'm taking advantage of autism families or that I'm profiting and getting rich off of this sort of stuff as if $1,500 is wealthy. But it just keeps happening. There's always one person that brings it all up and causes a stir, and then they give it up, and then somebody else comes along and does it all over again. And I ignore them for the most part because it doesn't really matter. People are entitled to their own opinion and they're entitled to dislike what I do or to dislike me or to make assumptions. They're free to do that. And I'm not going to dispute it because I don't have to. Because, like I said, they're free to think whatever they want. So before I end this, there was one other question about being a nonprofit. They say, if you're doing this out of the goodness of your heart, why aren't you a nonprofit organization? Well, first of all, there are many, many nonprofit organizations out there that are crooked, corrupt, and people getting rich off of. So it's not a guarantee that something is going to be above the board. But second of all, what I do is run a Minecraft server. It's not my game, and there's no company structure to it. It's not. there's no money going in and out. I'm not selling anything. I'm not a charity. The money isn't going towards, feeding people or providing clothes for people who are, freezing out here. It's a nice little community, and people donate to it, but it's not a nonprofit organization. And even if I wanted to set one up, it requires, like, a lawyer has to do it. I have to hire a lawyer to set up a nonprofit. An individual cannot do that. You need to have accountants that will track all the money and account for everything and say where everything is going. You need business plans. And even then, if you become a nonprofit, that doesn't entitle you to much of anything. Like, you can get grants and things, in which case I would make even more money. So if your problem with me is that I'm making money at doing this, then a nonprofit would actually solve a lot of problems. I would make more. But I wouldn't make a lot of money off of actual people or organizations, just the government, because in order to give people tax write-offs to get those benefits from those people, you need to be an actual charity, and that costs way, way more. So to everybody who feels like I'm a swindler or a cheat or just trying to get rich off of $1,500 a month, no, I'm really not. I never intended for that. All I intend to do is pay my rent, feed my kids, try and take care of them as best I can, and try to help as many people as I can along the way. All I ask is be able to pay my rent and feed my kids. That's it. I don't want to make any more. I'm not upset that I'm not making enough to do as much as I would really love to for my kids, because I'm able to give them the bare necessities, and that's all I ever asked for. So if you hate me, I'm sorry. You're free to hate me. It is what it is. I can't change your mind. So that's it. Super long video of me talking about dull, boring things. But now you have a history of Autcraft. You have a history of me. You have an idea of what it is I'm trying to do. If you still have those conclusions about me, then nothing is going to change your mind. And nothing should. Just keep on thinking what you think. I'm going to keep on doing what I do, which is Autcraft for now. Hopefully for a while, but I know it won't be forever. But until people believe in me, until people believe in Autcraft, people are willing to support and keep it going, I'm going to be there for them, no matter who doesn't like it. So with that being said, thank you very much for watching. Ciao for now.